many intellectuals in Saudi Arabia are warning that big financial gestures just won't work and that the king, as you said earlier, must listen to the voices of disenfranchised young people. Is the king going to listen this time round, do you think?
Until now, I didn't see any signs of listening to the new demands. We just heard a lot of wishes, our promises, but nothing happened until now. What we observe, really, we found the Saudi government using the old tools, the religious establishment, fatwas against demonstrations, our using forces in the Eastern Province and in Riyadh. Other area, they try to promise them with the new financial helps, like in Jeddah, and big projects. But the truth is, there is no what you call it, logic way to face the demands, especially demands of freedom. It's not only money matter. Other things is not only Shia problem, our mainly Shia problem in Saudi Arabia. It's nation problem. It's a problem of reform. It's a problem of bring justice and equitably to people. And the problem is the Saudi government, it's not working or not participate in the same or to face in a right situation the new demands, especially from newer generations. There is a lot of unemployment, there is people, and there is a lot of problems in schools and even in the health sector. Even the king and his family, they go to have a health operations outside the kingdom. The problem is, it's a whole system need to change and to reform.
OK, Maya Mani, let me bring you back in here because AlJazeera Al-Khamis raises a very interesting point. It's not just the issue of discontent among the Shia populace. I mean, there are two sides to this coin. The Shias say they've been sidelined as a minority, but very importantly, there are young Sunnis who also feel disenfranchised in the kingdom. Which of these do you think is the greater threat to the House of Saud?
The Shia, and one thing that we have missed here is the importance of oil, as Saudi Arabia sits on 1/5 of the known oil reserves in the world, and the only oil-rich area in the Eastern Province. The Shia there are a majority, and therefore they have been more, they feel this economic marginalization and discrimination more. Now, we have, I think, in all the movements that we have seen across the Arab countries or the revolutions, we think that they are more about the individual needs for dignity, and that the sectarian divisions, Sunni, Shia, or as we saw in Egypt, Christian or Muslim, really are secondary. So if we are looking at Saudi Arabia today, the most important Arab country today, after the changes in Egypt, of course, you have Saudi Arabia, that is the oil-rich country, and that is also the cradle of Islam. Mecca and Medina are in Saudi Arabia. And real reform will make a much better, a more modern system and more tolerance.
Let's put that point, if we can, to Khalid Al-Maina in terms of where he thinks the political threat is coming from. Khalid Al-Maina in Jeddah, where do you see that threat coming from? I mean, is the House of Saud more worried about young Sunni discontent than the Shia who say that they've been sidelined politically? Where do you in Jeddah see that threat coming from?
Well, I don't think so. As I said before, I mean, we're trying to sort of divide it into Shia Sunni effort. I would think a main threat to Saudi and other countries in the region also is terrorism. We overlooked that fact that there are extremists, and these extremists are those who have taken up arms, tried to blow up people. I would rather focus on these people with extreme ideas and try to work on these young people rather than sort of pinpoint with the Shias or Sunnis. I think this cuts across most, and you find out to which sects the extremists belong, and you will find out that we are sort of pointing the finger at the wrong place.
AlJazeera Al-Khamis, Maya Mani raised a very important point about the strategic importance of Saudi Arabia in all of this? I mean, it sits, as she said, on vast oil reserves. It's the cradle of Islam, and many say it's a counterbalance to Iran in the region. How will the US, President Obama, be looking in on things from Washington? How worried will Obama and the administration be at what they're seeing happen now in terms of the region, but also the key ally, their key ally in the region, Saudi Arabia?
Before I answer this question, let me back to what my colleague, Mr. Khalid Al-Maina, talked about terrorism as the real threat to the Saudi Arabia. Terrorism came to the scene because the lack of freedom, and the young generation in Saudi Arabia, they find themselves between to be loyal to the government or to go to Al-Qaeda or Bin Laden theories. This is the problem, is the Saudis, the lack of freedom, the lack of the other parties, political organizations, our sharing power with Al Saud, make people going to the dark side of the Saudi political system. Is the religious, people like Bin Laden, our organizations like Al-Qaeda. That's why we be happy to see the Egyptians and Tunisians, they away from the religious theories or religious political fanatical theories. They come to discover the freedom is to have your dignity, you have a country for you, and you share the power. This is what the new generation in Saudi Arabia look after. If they make pressure on them and they not allow them to participate or demonstrate or have their rights, political rights, they will go back to the Bin Laden and the other Islamic fundamentalism groups. The other thing, the Americans think about stability in Saudi Arabia. They think they need a strong system in Saudi Arabia, strong regime. They don't care who rules Saudi Arabia. Is it king or president? They care about their benefits, especially about oil. The stability of Saudi Arabia, it will guarantee there is oil flow to their profits and for their factories. This is what they think about our country. They don't think about people. They think about money and oil.
All right. Well, I want to put that point to Khalid Al-Maina in Jeddah. Khalid, how worried do you think Washington will be about what's happening in Saudi Arabia? The US will say, of course, it supports democracy. But let me ask you, will these strategic imperatives take precedence here? I mean, Washington, as AlJazeera Al-Khamis says, Washington needs a stable oil supply, and Saudi Arabia is, of course, a regional counter to Iran.
Well, I see we do not want to be used by anyone, whether it's the United States or anyone else. Saudi Arabia is a sovereign country. Yes, we have issues that have to be dealt with seriously from within. As I said, young people, bureaucracy, unemployment, healthcare. But I do not like to be sort of patronized by the Americans and be seen either as a supplier of oil. With America, while we are friends, there are times I think we should disagree. We want friends and not masters. So Washington is worried, but they're worried from their own point of view. As